fired everyone. It's only me and him, and I'm like, dude, I found the loophole. I got the way. Like, let's run a checkup.
What was the loophole? You were interested in becoming real estate. How did you then discover real estate investing and wholesaling specifically?
It was funny because my mom, she was an agent as well, and she was trying to make it work and never quite made it work. And she came to me one day and she was like all secretive and she's like, we got a meeting. And I'm like, all right, this is weird. And I found out this thing that Pete's called wholesale, and we can make 10 times as much. And I'm like, Mom, I'm disinterested in taking an old lady's house and just didn't
sound like a scam.
Yeah, and she was like, just watch the videos, just see what you think. And she sent me Jerry Norton's videos. And I'm like, this guy, he shares my same belief, both Christians. And I was like, this guy isn't taking advantage of people, I thought. Like, he's not this slimy, because we have a ton of snakes in this industry.
There are a lot.
And it's the most cutthroat, savage industry that I think that there is. But besides that, I started watching Jerry Norton videos and I just obsessed. And I felt that fire that I felt when I found finance in college, because I lost that fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, where do I go? I was doing a million different things. I created a software texting platform. I sold Skip Trace. I was
a million different directions.
I was trying to do so many things.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, because it brought me to this, but I just kept watching the videos, and each day that would go by that I would just hammer away into this freaking cement at my job, I was just like, I was like, I need to get out of this.
Yeah.
I felt like a wild animal in a trap.
Yeah.
I just kept watching Jerry Norton's videos, became an agent, joined, my first brokerage was Keller Williams, and their claim to fame is their training.
Right.
Their training's ass.
Yeah.
There's
super basic stuff.
They're like, oh, reach out to your sphere of influence, which pretty much means annoy the hell out of everyone in your family and friends until you don't have any. The buyers weren't represented, so they walked in unrepresented. So I was like, holy shit, I might be able to make something of this. And if you guys know, if you're in like novations or like the conventional world, the wife always makes it. It's never always.
On the house purchase, yeah.
Always, every single time. So I didn't even talk to the husband. I was just trying to convince the wife, because I had come far enough in my real estate journey to know that the wife makes the decisions. I lost this deal, and the husband actually reached out to me. I don't know how he got my number, but he was like, look, I love this house. My wife's like on the edge. We have to figure out a way to make this work.
Right.
And I was like, dude, trust me, I'm broke. I haven't done one deal. I'm for it. They ended up not submitting an offer because the wife didn't like Hugh.
Because that's the one thing you can't change.
And I was like,
I'll repaint it for you.
I was like, I will freaking paint this house for you. I'll paint the whole damn thing. And I was like, this is way too emotional for me to have so much more in my tool belt I just hated the having to put on a smile and having to pretend to be someone I'm not. You like the house, you buy it. Numbers work, they'd work. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. This is why you work so well on Dispo, because Dispo, that's the sales style you need on Dispo. I always tell people, like, the type of salesperson that works on acquisitions is way different than on Dispo. On acquisitions, you need someone that is much more like, kumbaya, my lord, let me hold your hand and walk you through the process, versus when you have a salesperson on Dispo, they need to be like much more cutthroat. Hey, this is a hot deal. I got 10 buyers looking at it. You want it? Take it. You want to lowball me? Like, the price is the price. You like, take it or leave it. So I feel like that's why you excel, especially on Dispo. And I think it's because you have this natural sales style that's more like to the point. It doesn't work as an agent.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is really interesting, because this is something that I tell people all the time. I say a two-man team can do $250,000 a month. Two-man team with a little bit of support. I've said that many times. A lot of people are like, oh, no, that's too crazy. No, if you're doing big deals, if you have to be doing Google Leads for this to work, because you need the high.
Absolutely.
You can't be doing all the fucking follow-up and shit. You got to be pretty much strictly wholesale. Maybe you could do a novation here and there. But if you're just doing turn and burn, Google Ads, big markets, big assignment fees, a two-man team, maybe with a couple VAs, can do $250,000 a month. So you went back from we're jumping ahead a little bit on your story. I want to progress, so we'll circle back a little bit on the progression to get there. But I want to touch on this because this is huge. Like you're saying, 2 months ago, you had 25 people on your team, and you went down to basically you in an acquisition. And then
I fired my best friend that had been working for me and making money for me for 2 years.
Because the numbers weren't there.
He wasn't hitting
Slipping
he wasn't hitting the benchmark.
Yeah. And those are the tough calls. Like I literally, the conversation I had before this, like someone was asking me about something very similar. And I'm like, look, like if they're not the right salesperson for that role, you got to let them go. You got to either move them into another role or let them go, because we're not a charity. We're a business. We're here to make money. And you just got to make the tough calls. So how did you get your first deal?
My first deal was in Southeast DC on Sweetland Drive. It was a 2-bedroom, one.
Is this Google Ads? Is it texting, cold calling,
I was
door knocking?
I was texting.
Yeah.
Before I found you and your software, the way I would get buyers is I would just post on Craigslist and say, hey, I'm a wholesaler, I have deals. Here's my number, hit me up.
Yeah.
Here's my email. They'd email me, they'd call me, they'd text me, I'd put them in an Excel sheet with what they were looking for, and then just like pound pavement, just do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And Facebook Marketplace, or not Marketplace, sorry, Facebook groups.
Facebook groups, yeah.
And Facebook groups are great. But my first deal on Sweetland, I remember it was so awkward and so I was so uncomfortable, but I knew, because my whole life, the whole motto for me is chaos.
Yeah.
And I knew the fact that I was uncomfortable, it was like I was doing something that, I'm gonna mess up, but I'm gonna learn from it and I'm gonna figure it out. Made $6K on that one, and then I was like, holy shit, this is what I'm doing. Fast forward like maybe a month or two, and he's like, I was just complaining about my job, and he was like, you should join my brokerage. And I was like, let's do it. And I didn't make a single sale at his brokerage, but what he taught me lit that fire in me.
So it was almost like you found your first mentor.
He was my very first mentor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The inflection points that I see on businesses are usually, you talk to anyone in this game, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, so I was struggling, then I found this guy and he showed me how to do this. I joined this mentorship, I joined this mastermind, and then I figured out, okay, so that kind of got you rolling.
And I'll add on to that too. A mentor does not have to be someone you like personally. He's actually one of the most untrustworthy people that I still wouldn't trust him with anything. If you're at a certain level of intellect, you can separate that and realize I can put that aside and really learn from this person.
Yeah. Okay, so this is interesting too, because I think there was another pivotal point. This reminds me of another story that you've told me, and I want you to share with the community, and that is the story of how the hell you ended up down here in Puerto Rico. Can you share that story?
So that translates into exactly what you're talking about next. I remember you posting, this must have been probably 2 years ago, year and a half, whatever. Probably 2 years now. You posted Jason Ford's, you tagged him on Instagram on a story, and you said, congratulations, Jason, for the highest, you set the record for the highest amount of assignments in
the first week on Investorlift.
In a week, and it was twice as much as I made that year.
450 some thousand in the first week on Investorlift. Absolutely incredible.
So I was like, dude, what the hell am I doing? I was skip tracing, I was doing all these different things in a bunch of different marketing channels. I couldn't track KPIs. I was just like, I gotta figure out what this guy's on because I need this.
All right, so about 6 months ago, you start cranking Google Ads. How much are you spending?
I wouldn't even say it was 6 months ago. I'd say we started in...
Like within the last 4 months, ballpark?
We started beginning of May.
Beginning of May. So this is, like this whole popping off, like this is why I literally had a call with someone right before this, and they were at around like 60K per month, and I told them, I said, look, it's literally 60 days to have you doing consistently north of 100, 150,000. If you can get the Google Ads leads rolling that are high quality and you can convert them with good closers, that's all you need. You got to just keep things simple. This is why I wanted to bring Christian on, because what you did is you stripped away complexity from your business. This is the one thing that all companies on Investorlift really have in common that crush it, is the ones that fail in our industry, here's what they do. They fix and flip. They're swinging hammers. They're stuck in the physical world. Swinging hammers, doing construction, picking out tile. Forget about that shit. You got to remove yourself from the physical world because the physical world does not scale. If you want to do big numbers, you can't be swinging hammers. And then get super focused on the best lead source, which is, of course, Google Ads. There's a reason why all the guys on Investorlift doing more than $500,000 a month, probably even the guys doing north of $250,000 a month, are all on Google Ads. It's because it's the best lead source.
But however, I will say, a lot of these people are going to be like, oh, you're just going to hold your Google Ads person hostage and not tell us like you're a greedy asshole. No, look, guys, the reason I fired 25 people
is because they weren't converting leads.
But there was a reason that they weren't. And
what was that?
That reason is my main source of marketing, outbound marketing.
They were used to, it's a different type of sale.
I'm not going to disclose how many texts on this that I was sending a day, but
it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Okay, because that's a completely different sales process. Most people don't get this because there's not that sense of urgency on texting.
It's not. And that's why I paid them so much more on those leads, because I understood that. And because you have to do so much more follow-up. 90% of our Google Ads leads that we get under contract are one call close. They sign on the phone.
Guys, listen to that. Christian, say that one more time.
90% of our contracts are one call close where they sign on the initial call.
That's incredible.
And
one call close.
And you know what is even crazier? I ran the KPIs. And by the way, if you're doing like a bunch of different types of marketing, KPIs are hard enough to track as it is, right? When you have one lead source. If you have multiple, forget about it.
Forget about it.
It's just it's a freaking tangled mess. But I was tracking the KPIs of my sales guy, because it's only me and him, right? At this time, I fired everyone. And it's only me and him, and I'm like, dude, I found the loophole. I got the way. Like, let's run a checkup.
What was the loophole?
90% of the deals that we get under contract are on the first call. And I was looking at it even deeper, and I was like, okay, out of the calls that I know that my acquisition guy agreed on a price and agreed on the terms, already went through the contract. Like, we all go through this. It's, oh, let me talk to my wife about it. Let me talk to my attorney. And they try to get you off. Out of the people that we agreed upon a price in all terms, you would think they'd come around. Only about, I'd say 1 in 50
comes back if you don't close on that first call.
Yes.
Wow. So 2 call close is death sentence to lead. So that's the loophole. The secret sauce.
You got to figure that out.
You got to close it on the first call.
Get good at freaking sales.
Lead response time is so important. Your chances of closing the deal decrease 21x after the first 5 minutes that lead's been sitting. 21x decrease. So the name of the game in Google Ads, what I always preach is you have 5 minutes until the lead's dead. Like a clock starts. As soon as that lead comes through, you got 5 minutes to get on the phone with them. After 5 minutes, that lead is dead. Throw it in the trash. You wasted your money. You just spent $500 on this lead. You might as well be burning the money if you didn't call them back in the first 5 minutes. The top teams like Christian will literally get them on the phone in the first 60 seconds before they even finish the lead form, removing the ability for them to eat. That's why we make the lead form long. It's not just to go capture more information. It's also keep them on our site until someone goes in and calls them. Also, I'm going to give you another pro tip, guys. Send them an automated text message from the phone number you're about to call them from before you call them. Hey, this is Christian Reinerson from We Buy Houses, whatever. Just received your offer request, and I'm going to call you from this number. Is now a good time? So I built that into a marketing campaign, and it literally made us millions of dollars more because our initial contact rate went up so high. Because now you're planting your phone number in their phone before you even call. So your initial contact rate goes way up. So that's another pro secret tip for you guys. Brady says, what's your take on squeeze pages, so single page websites versus full-fledged homepages for Google Ads? I have a very strong opinion on this. I'm curious to hear yours, and then I'll tell you mine.
I've been asking you to put pages on the seller site for 20 years now, but...
Yeah, okay. So I like squeeze pages better because it keeps the prospect focused. As soon as they go to an About Us page or something like that, then it distracts them from taking action. We're trying to funnel them into taking action on the page. We are going to be introducing on Investorlift the ability to have additional pages. The reason being is that you need that for site links for Google Ads. Otherwise, you're in violations of their terms of service and they can ban your account. Okay, so we're going to bring them back, but We're going to make them very not obvious, probably hide the additional pages down the footer. But as long as the bots see that there's additional pages, that allows us to do site links. Those are those little like additional little things underneath the ad, like about us, whatever. It gives you more real estate on your ads. The one thing I would have maybe done is maybe not gone straight to 375 at the end. What I like to do is give a weird number. I would have gone like $371,215.21 because that's my entire budget to buy houses for the rest of the month, and then throw in something else non-monetary. And by the way, I'll pay $500, or I will pay for up to $1,000 for a moving truck for you to ship anything you want from that house over to New York City. Like throw in something else non-monetary, because when you throw in something else non-monetary, what it does with the prospect is they feel like, okay, you do a weird number like that, it makes them feel like I've literally drained every penny out of this person that I can in this negotiation. It makes them feel like they won the negotiation. This is a cool project that Christian is doing here in Puerto Rico.
I bought a 5-unit shell down here that I'm turning into 8-unit boutique hotel in Puerto Rico. I needed a design. I was like, one night I just started messing around on ChatGPT. I was like, what are some Puerto Rican themes that would be good for a boutique hotel? I took that, and then I don't know if you guys know what Midjourney is, but Midjourney is, you can write code into it and it will actually give you an AI generated picture. So this is not real. This has never been seen by anyone. So I took everything that ChatGPT recommended me, and I mixed and matched it with what I wanted. And this is literally, I already picked out everything. This is what it gave me.
Looks insane. Tons of great value today. Guys, we're going to be back on next week. I think we're going to have some really cool product announcements, hopefully next week as well. We have some really exciting stuff that is in QA right now that might potentially drop before next Friday. Make sure to join us, same time, same place, next Friday. Guys, have an incredible Friday, have an incredible weekend. Get rested up. Let's go crush it and cash more checks next week. Talk to you guys later.